So, something I've noticed in the last 2 or 3 years is there has been like an explosion of people online talking about erotic energy and Eros and the erotic. It's just become more of a common thing now. And at the same time, there's been this crazy amount of divide between people on the planet. And so I feel genuinely like we need the energy of the erotic right now. And that's why it's coming alive so much. And I tell you, like, it's amazing how if I write an essay about the erotic, anything erotic, it gets so many more views than just me talking about something else. Yeah, like dreaming or something. Um, so there's a reason people are drawn to this energy of Eros. Well, let's define what is Eros. It's basically like it's an essence of something that draws you toward it. You can think of a flower in bloom that gives off this heavenly perfume, and of course, you're going to be drawn to that. And it's beauty. Beauty draws us closer to it. In the Greek mythology, it was the Venus, the goddess Venus, and the planet Venus. So, this force that attracts and pulls us toward. So, this is the erotic. Now, something fascinated me recently on Substack. I found this writer, and she's so compelling. And I'll link her below actually, because she's been blowing my mind this year. She wrote about the pseudo erotic, and that got me really fascinated with what is the difference between true eroticism and then this fake performative erotic. How do you get to that? Something brilliant she started talking about in her writings was envy, the power of envy and jealousy, and how you can actually use these as alchemical agents to calibrate to an archetype perhaps that you don't feel comfortable in yet. Maybe you're scared, you don't feel worthy enough of it, but you can. These are powerful, powerful medicines. But sadly, many of us turn them into weapons or poisons on ourselves. If we're jealous, if we see someone we're jealous of or envious of, we'll like, I mean, we'll just cancel them or hate them or like one that I've done is I'll say, um, well, I just don't get to have that in this life, or like, well, I guess I don't get, I guess I don't get to have that. And so yeah, I turn off, and it's sort of like this thing that we need to catch because we're so much more abundant than that. And we're so much more creative than just checking out or giving up. So I like this idea of participating and staying in the game and just learning alchemy and using envy to alchemize. You could call it like erotic alchemy or scarcity alchemy. You're alchemizing scarcity into worth. So I'll share what I did this year to alchemize envy and use envy to my advantage. And maybe you can try the same thing and see how it goes for you. So this is what I did. I focused on a woman who I was envious of, and I figured out her archetype, got real clear on what it was, and then I figured out like what was underneath that, the theme. And it turns out for me it was recognition. And you could say her archetype was like celebrity or starlet. And that was just something I was never allowed to have, and it could be because of a family programming thing. My parents and grandparents, they weren't theater kids. They were not theater people, and it's interesting. So, but why was I so drawn to it? The envy piece was important for me, and this is still something that's unraveling, and I'm figuring it out. So this is what I did. I focused on the theme. I figured out the action I needed to take, which was just a little, because we have to give ourselves grace because we weren't born into the same karma that this person has, but we're simply figuring out the action that would help us eroticize the scarcity we feel. get a little bit closer to that archetype in ourself. So we're not copying the person. It's not about copying their life. It's about getting calibrated to the archetype that they're so comfortable in, so that we can have the audacity to see that archetype and feel that archetype and believe that archetype in us. So I figured out that my action step was to record videos once a week. Just do the damn thing. Like, just keep showing up. And that was my way of falling in love with myself, having more of a crush on myself, just having the audacity to embrace that archetype, even just a little bit. And two things happened from this. The first thing that incredibly blew my mind was that I had a video go viral after a few months of just showing up like this weekly, facing something I was jealous of and actually like kind of using it to work for me instead of against me. I had something get over 300,000 views, and I gained 88 subscribers from it, and it all happened pretty quickly. So the point of it was not to go viral, right? Because that's really not even a big deal nowadays. But the point was for me to show myself I had a baseline of scarcity in that archetype. And this showed me that this is possible. I can calibrate to that level of reach. I can have more reach. And I can have that same light that she has. And like, yeah, I mean, we can really expand. The second thing that happened that was amazing was I'm getting more clients that are paying me bigger amounts of money that I was terrified to charge before. Never would have charged this much money. But people are paying it now. And so this shows me that I have calibrated up a notch. I'm not anywhere, all the way where she is, but whew, like I have definitely calibrated to that archetype more. So this scarcity alchemy is about calibrating bit by bit into archetypes so that we can believe it, know it, feel it, that we are worthy of that archetype too. And, archetypes are abundant, they're immortal, they're in the collective, they're accessible to all of us. You don't only get to be the ones that your family was, you can expand beyond. So it's really just the biggest part of this work, though, is retraining your brain to have a crush on yourself, fall in love with yourself. And that's the erotic, right? It's the more you feel erotic about yourself, the more your presence is going to be erotic and be compelling, attractive, influential on other people. And it might not be the starlet for you. It could be some archetype that your family you didn't feel was allowed or really didn't really exist in your family line. Maybe it's something else. But there's a new one that I want to work with now, probably next year, and it's like it would be a whole other level because I found a new level of envy that came up. It's weird because you'll just notice it, and sometimes it'll just be so intense because you're like, God, I could never be that. There's no way. Like, how could I ever be what she is? But there is a way, and it'll just take more of this alchemy work. But this one's even bigger, and it's something, yeah, I won't talk about it yet, but anyway, I think this is really important to share, this envy alchemy, erotic alchemy, and it's just ultimately bringing more light and this essence of it's okay to be drawn to each other and move toward each other and share love while we're here. We don't have to be in this divide or fear each other. So, anyway, thank you.